My job overall is basically to try to help our entire government make sure that we're building thinking about women's inclusion into everything that we do. And I'll break that down a little bit more. So the primary part of my mandate, which was approved by cabinet, is to provide, it says, confidential advice to ministers who are overseeing our National Action Plan on Women, Peace and Security. So in Canada, what we right now have 8 departments and 1 agency that have commitments in our National Action Plan. So I report essentially primarily to the Ministers of Foreign Affairs and Defense, as well as the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. And then I also have responsibility to provide advice to the ministers of 6 additional partners. And what's interesting about our National Action Plan in particular is that we have included some departments that are primarily domestically focused. So I think we all know the kind of dirty secret of national action plans for many years has been that there have been roughly 2 types. There's been the type of what we would call conflict affected countries, and that was mainly a domestic focus on reforming the security sector, on education, on reconciliation, on justice, etc. And then there was more the donor type, that where women, peace and security was almost viewed exclusively through the lens of being defense policy or foreign policy. And so I think Canada's National Action Plan is one of few, but one of increasing number of plans that are bringing those 2 together. So we have, it's coordinated by Global Affairs, but we have a range of departments that include public safety, they include immigration, justice, and then crucially, they also include Indigenous Services Canada and what we call Crown Indigenous and Northern Affairs. So we're engaging with the issue that many, many women, in particular Indigenous women within Canada, still face tremendous systemic discrimination. There are tremendous barriers to their full participation. So what I'm trying to do is a range of things within that, within my role. So one is trying to coordinate to some degree among these implementing partners. So we don't necessarily yet, we're not at a place where we're necessarily sharing a lot of information across departments. We're not sharing resources to the extent that we can. And there's tons of great work being done in different departments, but I think there's a little more space for coordinating that to some degree. Another thing I'm working on is trying to support the creation of really customized tools, resources, guidance, training, etc. So, you know, as you mentioned, Israela, there's a lot of awareness of women, peace and security and the importance of it within the Canadian government and within our civil society, et cetera. And I think a challenge of an area that we're at right now is that, and this is pervasive around the world, I think, is that we see, if people seem to believe in the importance of an issue, we sometimes automatically assume that they know how to implement it. So what I think, what we're working on right now is trying to get more customized guidance or training materials for people across our department. So we have, or our government, so we have a baseline of training, but what does it mean to think about gender and climate change, gender and cyber, women's inclusion in peace negotiations? What do we know works? What has not worked? What are some tactics that have been used that have been most effective? What are resources available, networks, et cetera? So to support people who are trying to do really good work and may just need a little extra resource support from the government. And then the last area of major work is trying to support Canadian initiatives related to women, peace and security. So there's some really fantastic ways that Canada around the world, through our missions, our diplomats and Canadian civil society, are trying to increase the implementation of this broad agenda. And I'm trying to help however I can to make those successful. So either speaking at events, helping in the design or coordination of some of them, trying to connect them with people who make sense, et cetera, et cetera. So what you're hearing from me is that I have a broad mandate, which for me is great because then I feel like I can navigate that gray space a little bit. For some people, it's a little bit confusing, and I think some people expect that I'm basically like an ombudsperson or someone who's reporting on the government's implementation, but I'm actually sitting within the government, so that would be a fairly poor design for accountability if I were reporting on the government from within the government. what I'm trying to do is basically be, as we're trying to call me like a force multiplier for the Canadian government to implement its women, peace, and security commitment.